The movie opens with a happy couple, Paul and Iris, riding in a car, and we see that Iris is blindfolded, which means that Paul has arranged a surprise for her. Here we get to know that he has booked a seat in the newly opened restaurant Skyview. She is over the moon when her blindfolds are removed and in excitement hugs her boyfriend, Paul. But once they take the lift to reach the top, they get to learn that the construction was completed 5 months prior to the expected time. This makes Iris uneasy, as such swift construction often leads to compromise with safety. Nevertheless, they reach the top, and as she looks down, she gets frightened as she has acrophobia. Paul realizes this and apologizes to her as he should have planned a different venue. Iris puts on a smile to cheer her boyfriend, and they decide to have some drinks. But as Paul goes to fetch her some drinks, she feels dizzy and runs to the washroom. There, seeing her condition, a woman asks her about her pregnancy, and although hesitant at first, she confesses that she is 2 weeks pregnant and is yet to tell her boyfriend. We also get to see that the woman is a singer in the venue, and she has a child who is also present there. The woman encourages her and assures her that everything will be all right. Iris feels a little bit better and decides to join the dance floor with Paul. This is when death begins its play. A piece of decoration falls of a chandelier and causes a slight crack on the dance floor, which is made of glass. No one notices it at first and keep dancing. Paul takes her to the topmost spot in the place, and we see that there is a little boy about to throw a coin from the top just for sport, but the security guard stops him in time. Paul kneels down and proposes to Iris with a ring, and this is where she discloses her pregnancy to him, and he is overjoyed. Needless to say, Iris accepts his proposal of marriage, and Paul slips the ring into her finger, and they celebrate this moment. Here, we see the boy throwing the coin, and it slides inside a vent, and the coin gets stuck in the blades of a fan inside the vent, thereby stopping its motion. This goes unnoticed by everybody. But this is where things begin to get weird. Iris suddenly stops dancing, and we see a string of events like the fire from the kitchen, the sound of the glass cracking, the singing of the band, and the cocktails being prepared for the guests. The glass gives in, and some of the guests who were dancing fall down immediately. This creates a panic, and everyone tries to rush to safety. Paul is also seen hanging from a broken glass, and he tries to grab it tightly. Iris tries to save her boyfriend, but she fails to reach him in time, and he falls to his death. The fire from the kitchen spreads onto a woman's clothes, and she runs in panic, thereby causing the fire to spread and eventually causing an explosion, which kills a lot of the remaining people. The liftman calls everyone to escape using the stairs, and people oblige, but the stairs also collapse, and a lot more people fall to their death, making the situation even worse. Seeing no other option, the liftman calls everyone else inside the lift to escape the ordeal, and seeing this, people rush to the lift. But it gets overloaded due to the huge number of people trying to escape, and eventually the pulleys break, leading to the lift falling directly to the ground and killing everyone in it. Half of the tower collapses, and Iris watches everyone die in front of her eyes. This is when her eyes fall on the little boy whom we saw earlier, and he was asking for help. Iris tries to comfort him, but seeing the other half of the tower collapsing, she takes his hand and jumps to grab a pillar in the nick of time. The tower top is completely destroyed, and we see the duo hanging on a pillar. But as the camera zooms in, we see that they are only hanging due to Iris's engagement ring getting stuck between 2 nails. The weight of 2 people is on a single ring finger, and as she tries to hold on, her finger rips off under pressure, and both of them fall to their death. The scene shifts to Stephanie, who was sitting in her class, and we see that the previous events were part of her daydream. She gets scolded by her teacher, and her classmates give her awkward looks. Next, we get to learn that she has been dreaming of this incident for the past few months, and it has been hampering her sleep, and now she is determined to discover the roots of it. The fact that she knows that the woman in her dreams is her grandmother Iris makes the situation even more scary. To uncover the secrets of her recurring nightmares, she decides to search more about her grandmother. She goes to meet with her father Marty and her brother Charlie. This is where we learn that their mother Darlene had abandoned them in their childhood, and their grandmother Iris was behind it. Finding no clues from her father, she decides to visit her maternal uncle, and Charlie decides to go with her. She meets with their cousins, Bobby, Eric, Julia, and her uncle Howard and Aunt Brenda. When asked about Iris, their demeanor changed, and they looked shocked after hearing the name. Here it is revealed that Iris had abandoned Howard and Stephanie's mother Darlene when they were kids, and hence had to face extreme hardships. Howard used to receive letters from Iris, and she claimed that death will come for their children, and the letters also contained the patterns in which death used to haunt its targets. To escape this scenario, Howard had changed his address and had severed all forms of contacts with his mother, Iris. Even after hearing this, Stephanie is adamant in knowing the reason behind her nightmares, but Howard denies any further information. But her Aunt Brenda gives her the letters that Iris used to send, and this gives her Iris's address. When Stephanie arrives at her address, she is spooked by the way the place looks. Guarded by huge metal doors and all kinds of defenses, she had prepared a fort to keep death away from her. Stephanie nears the cabin where her grandmother stays, and upon opening the door, she meets her grandmother Iris, for the first time in her life. The place looks completely uninhabitable with no modern technology or devices. It did not even have the necessities for life, but Iris still has been living in that place for the past 20 years. Stephanie explains her nightmares, and Iris explains that the events that she saw was not a dream but a reality that could have happened 20 years ago, but she averted it. Here in a flashback, we are shown that on the fateful day, Iris had stopped the boy from throwing the coin into the air vent and had interrupted the band from performing. Seizing the microphone, she had appealed to everyone to evacuate the place as they were all going to die. At first, people thought that it was just a joke, but as soon as they realized that the glass beneath their feet was cracking, they panicked and evacuated immediately, and the place was shut down, avoiding the accident. This is the reason that death had been killing all the people that were supposed to die that day, and even their children, as they were never supposed to be born. She adds that death has its own unique way of hunting, and it is very hard to avoid it. This is why Iris had secluded herself from her family and kept herself safe in that cabin, as death always follows the order, and as long as she is safe, her children, Howard and Darlene, will be safe, and this means that her grandchildren, Eric, Bobby, Julia, Charlie, and Stephanie will all be safe. Stephanie thinks that isolation from the rest of the world had turned her grandmother into a crazy person, and she repents her decision of visiting her. Iris tries to stop her, but Stephanie steps out of her cabin. Seeing no other way to make her believe the facts about death, Iris steps out of her cabin after 20 years and tells Stephanie to see what happens and to believe her eyes. She hands Stephanie her book about death and then stands a few steps away from her. This is when the unthinkable happens. Out of the blue, a weather vane falls on a fire extinguisher and a metal object gets hurled towards her face, piercing it completely. Blood splashes all over Stephanie's face, and she is left stunned by the incident. The family gathers during her funeral, and Stephanie's mother, Darlene, also arrives after a lot of years. She continues reading the book and tries to find the pattern of death. On the other hand, Bobby accidentally drops a beer bottle, resulting in a glass shard getting mixed with the ice kept nearby. The family holds a party in their house, and all of them enjoy like a happy family. But Stephanie feels uneasy and heads to their location as if she had got a premonition. She arrives, and everything seems to be fine until the glass shard falls to the ground. Howard accidentally steps on it, and at the same time the garden rake falls on the switch of the lawn mower, activating it. Right at this moment, Howard falls to the ground owing to the injury caused by the glass shard, and the lawn mower cuts through his face, tearing it into numerous pieces, killing him instantly. The entire family is left horrified by this incident, and Stephanie now firmly believes in the book written by her grandmother. She shares her learning with the entire family, describing that death will come for each of the family members, in correct order as per their age, as they should have never been born if Iris had not cheated death in the Skyview incident. As per the order, first Eric will die, as he is the eldest of all siblings, followed by Julia, Bobby, and then Darlene, followed by Stephanie, and at last, Charlie. But she is ridiculed by her own family, and no one believes her. As per the order, Eric is the next in Death's book. Hence Stephanie and Charlie try to accompany him wherever he goes. But being arrogant, Eric makes fun of the two. Stephanie sees a man cleaning a garden, and beside him, a group of children are playing football. She suspects that the dust will get into the eyes of one of the children, and he will kick the balls, and it may hit Eric. Eric does not pay heed to this premonition and makes fun of Stephanie. Julia meets with them, and after chatting, takes her leave. Right then a garbage collection truck appears in the background, and Julia walks alongside it. But out of the blue, the man who was cleaning the garden falls to the ground, and dust goes into the eyes of the children, and one of them kicks the ball, which hits Julia, making her fall into a garbage bin. The truck collets the garbage bin and dumps Julia alongside all the garbage into its container. The lid of the container slowly closes, and Stephanie, Charlie, and Eric give chase. Stephanie tries to climb the truck and rescue Julia, but she is too late. The lid closes, crushing Julia into pieces, and again Stephanie is confronted by this horrible game of death, which she sees in front of her eyes. Here it is revealed that Eric was adopted, and thus, he did not die, and as per order, Julia was the victim of death. Now everyone believes Stephanie, and Bobby pleads to her to save him. Stephanie dives deeper into Iris's book, and here she discovers that there is a person named J.B. who knows a victim who escaped death. They decide to visit the Hope River Hospital, to meet JB and inquire about the person who escaped death. Here we get to learn that JB was the same kid whom we saw in the beginning of the movie in the Skyview restaurant. JB tells them that they only have two choices, either die or kill someone else, and then his longevity will be transferred to the killer. Stephanie inquires about the survivor who cheated death. JB reveals that there was a person named Kimberly who died, and her heartbeat flatlined, and then her doctors brought her back to life. The family decided to try this out, but he warns them that cheating death is very risky, and as a last piece of advice, he requests them to live their lives to the fullest before death eventually takes them. Without informing anyone, Eric takes Bobby to an unknown room and plans to give him peanut butter cookies, as he is extremely allergic to peanut butter. But while taking the food from the vending machine, it gets stuck, and Eric forcibly brings the packet out, but in the process, a spring ejects. They lock themselves in a dark room just opposite to the emergency room inside the hospital. The plan was to rush Bobby inside the emergency room after his heart stops beating so that doctors can resuscitate him immediately. Eric goes to fetch him a wheelchair, but after the door closes, a file drops on a keyboard activating the MRI machine inside the room, hence also activating the powerful magnet inside the machine. The machine starts powering up without their knowledge. Eric takes away Bobby's EpiPen and promises that he will bring him back from death and urges him to take the cookies. After taking the peanut butter cookies, Bobby's allergy kicks in and he gets seizures, but Eric still believes that he can bring him back from the dead. On the other end, the rest of the family keeps searching for the duo, but as the hospital is too big, they are unable to locate them easily. Bobby starts having painful seizures and is close to death, but this is when the power in the MRI machine gets to an extreme point and starts attracting all the metal objects. All of Eric's metal piercings start getting sucked from inside his body, and the wheelchair pushes him into the MRI machine, eventually killing him. Bobby successfully takes the EpiPen, but the spring from the vending machine that we saw earlier gets pulled towards the magnet and pierces through Bobby's head, killing him instantly. This is witnessed by a nurse who screams, "Help the rest of the family to locate the room," but to their dismay, they are too late as Bobby had taken his last breath. This shows us that those who get in the path of death also get punished, just like Eric. To keep her children safe, Darlene decides to isolate herself inside Iris's cabin, as death always follows its order. They travel to the secluded place, but death was not willing to give up. Upon reaching the cabin, Stephanie's seat belt gets stuck and she is unable to open it. She breaks through the gates of the cabin using her van and urges Charlie and Darlene to go inside the cabin. But sparks from a nearby light causes fire to erupt in the vicinity of the cabin, and as soon as Charlie and Darlene went inside the cabin, the spark lighted a leaking gas pipe, and the cabin exploded. Darlene tried hard and eventually freed Charlie, who was trapped under rubble. She tries to comfort Charlie that she will try to remain alive as long as possible, but right at that moment, a post falls on her, killing her in front of her son. Charlie gets shocked by this incident, but he has no time to waste as the explosion had overturned the van and it got submerged in a nearby pond, drowning Stephanie. Without wasting more time, Charlie gets inside the van and cuts the seatbelt using a knife. But before he can free her, she runs out of breath. Just when all hope seems lost, Charlie applies CPR and brings her back to life. The siblings believe that as Stephanie was brought back from the dead, they have beaten death and hence rejoice in their victory. In the ending moments of the movie, we are shown that Charlie is waiting for his girlfriend Jenny to take her to prom, and this is when the ominous coin from the beginning of the movie drops from the purse of a lady, rolling down a few steps and stopping a railway track from shifting its position for an incoming train. Right at this moment, Jenny's father, who is also a doctor, arrives to meet with Charlie. This is when he informs the siblings that technically Stephanie's heart did not stop, and that is why Charlie could bring her back using CPR. Hearing this, the siblings get frightened. But before they could do anything, a train arrives, and due to the tracks not being aligned properly, gets derailed. The siblings try to outrun it, but unfortunately, the train was carrying tree logs which fell on them, killing Stephanie and then her brother Charlie. This is how death completes its mission. If you like this recap, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so that we can bring you more such videos.